Hi, I'm Margaret Moran, and my presentation about future implications is valuing play in early childhood, trusting children to construct their own knowledge. So I wanted to talk about what play is and why it's so important. Play is the way in which children learn. They learn to solve their own problems. The play makes their thinking visible. They learn how to develop and follow their own interests. During play, children have to collaborate and negotiate with others to keep their play going. They learn to take risks and they learn from their own mistakes. They develop self-control and they learn to handle their emotions because they're motivated to keep the play going. So they're motivated to sort it out and stick with it. They also develop an intrinsic sense of motivation, which research has shown to be very important for happiness and success in life. And they derive a sense of happiness and joy, which I believe children are entitled to. So what's the problem? What's been happening to play over the last couple of decades? A lot. Organized activities have been replacing free play, and those organized activities are targeting younger and younger children. Parental concerns about safety and, quote, academic success has been really playing into this, no pun intended, with increased homework in early years at schools and an early childhood curriculum that's often geared towards measurable results and standards. The overregulation of early childhood programs limits risk and exploration and really inhibits free play. I think there's also a lack of appreciation for the value of play. And I think that there's often a lack of trust in the child's ability to construct his or her own learning. So how do mental health issues relate to play? Well, play research has found that between 1981 and 1997, children aged 6 to 8 spent 145% more time doing schoolwork and therefore less time playing. Also, I think we can all agree, and the data shows this clearly, that rates of depression and anxiety among young people have been increasing steadily over the past 50 years. Concurrently, our early childhood and early elementary programs are becoming more and more developmentally inappropriate over the past 50 years. They're focusing more on standardized testing and academic curriculum. The rising depression among young people has been linked to a significant shift from their intrinsic to extrinsic motivation and a lack of a sense of personal control over their own lives. This chart shows clearly that generalized anxiety disorders diagnoses have been rising steadily among adolescents between 2007 and 2017. So what we've been learning this semester is how constructivist theory supports the idea of children playing. Piaget demonstrated that children construct their own knowledge when they interact with their environment. Vygotsky asserts that cognitive development stems from social interactions. John Dewey believed that children have the right to be involved in their own learning, that education actually supports the democratic process. And of course, Loris Malaguzzi believed strongly and constructed an entire educational system around the core value that children have rights as capable citizens. Children are really protagonists in their own learning, and their work is their play. So as we've been learning about the Reggio Emilia approach, I believe that it supports the idea of play. A quote by Loris Malaguzzi from The 100 Languages of Children speaks to me really strongly. And what he said was, "What children learn does not follow as an automatic result from what is taught. Rather, it's in large part due to the children's own doing, as a consequence of their activities and our resources." So it sort of puts the child as a protagonist in his or her own learning, and the teacher and adults as being skilled enough to support that by providing resources for the learning to occur. The key components of the Reggio Emilia approach that we learned about this semester support the idea of play. The image of the child seems to recognize that learning occurs through play. Children are protagonists of their own learning, and the emergent curriculum stems from the child's interests and questions. The Reggio Emilia schools believe that children are citizens with rights to play, explore, experiment, problem solve, and make meaningful contributions to their community. Children collaborate with each other and with trusted adults, and Reggio Emilia-inspired schools make sure that there's time for uninterrupted play. They minimize transitions. They value the joy of childhood and relationships. Teachers are viewed as researchers. Their job is to support that learning through play. They observe children while they're playing to learn more about them. They plan provocations designed to encourage deeper play, problem solving, and they're very skilled in resolving cognitive dissonance through experimentation. Teachers collaborate deeply with both children and parents and each other, and they find ways for children to interact with the larger community and make meaningful contributions. They value each child's unique qualities and ideas, and they're always encouraging children to take risks and learn from their own mistakes. The environment and the role of the 100 languages of children also speaks to children as capable citizens and to the idea that they play in order to learn. Their imaginations, creativity, ideas, interests, and capabilities are supported by a materials-rich environment that offers many different possibilities for exploration, play, and engagement. The role of documentation is critical in allowing others to understand how learning occurs through play. It makes the learning visible. It understands that children are protagonists in their own learning. And it helps teachers and parents assess and understand why, as in this example, this painting on cardboard is actually important and how children are thinking throughout the process of using paint. Parents are viewed as partners. They're invited and encouraged to be active participants in their child's education. When you have such a strong partnership, with children and parents and teachers, there's an opportunity to educate parents about the value of play and to show them their child's capabilities and how emergent inquiry curriculum supports that play. One of the things that struck me this semester about the Reggio Emilia approach was how the infrastructure, theory, and practice are all a cohesive strategy, all anchored on the image of a child as a capable citizen with rights, and including the right to play. So that the theory of Reggio Emilia approach is one where the key principles are upheld, but constant research and experimentation is ongoing in order to learn more and more. Emergent inquiry that supports the child's initiation is the curriculum, and children are capable. The infrastructure with the municipal support, pedagogical support, paid planning time, parent involvement, and again, research and collaboration that supports what's happening in the schools is cohesive and supportive. And then the practice, what's occurring actually in the classroom, is again, all stems from that image of the child. Teachers observe, reflect, test their own hypotheses, are constantly researching and collaborating, and the children are involved, engaged, and trusted to be protagonists in their own learning. I believe that the Reggio-inspired schools view children as citizens and support their right to play. So for me, these were the 5 main components that really spoke to me. Children as citizens, teachers valuing experimentation, the emergent inquiry curriculum is the vehicle for turning children's interests into thinking, the spaces and the materials that draw children in and that speak to the language of childhood, and then, just as important, the idea that nothing occurs without joy, that Reggio-inspired schools embrace the wonder and joy of childhood. They value self-directed play and support the children's social emotional development as well as their problem-solving skills. This cohesive philosophy ensures that the rights of children as citizens and the importance of relationships are at the core of the educational approach. So, what can we do? How can we advocate for play? Because I believe that advocating for play is advocating for children's rights. I think some good things are happening. This summer, I attended this first online play summit hosted by Fairy Dust Teaching, and it was all about play and children and valuing that. There were over 1,000 participants from over 100 countries that were taking part in this. I think that COVID is also pushing play to the forefront as parent groups are growing to start to advocate for more play. And I think we're all understanding that having children sitting in front of screens all day is not beneficial. I also know that teachers can make a difference in their classrooms. They can start to document all the learning that they know occurs during play in order to make that learning visible and to share that data with other teachers, administrators, and parents. Last year, some kindergarten teachers in Boston took a stand. They wrote a letter to the superintendent, and they had meetings where they were strongly advocating that the research about how children learn was not being supported by the practices and the standards that they were being required to implement in their classrooms. And NAEYC standards are evolving in order to support children's rights and to support their time to play. Big waves start with small ripples, and that's something that I've been thinking about a lot in this class, how doing something small with your full heart can make a big change. This was my bibliography. I turned to a lot of very smart researchers in order to learn about this presentation. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that we will have some fruitful discussions, and I look forward to hearing about the rest of your presentations.